Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. As you can see, I have a bit of a different view going on behind me today. I really needed to get some revisions done on my work in progress, Restless Spirits Book 2, but I also want to do my daily video, so I thought I'd bring you along for a revision session. Now, so far this morning, I woke up at 7 a.m. and I think JT woke up around 8. So we got off to a bit of a late start. He is over at Comma Coffee working right now, which is why I'm downstairs. You can see over here is our living area with our personal bookshelf. Over here is our dining area where we normally do our podcast. And yes, that is a wedding dress on a mannequin. I'll talk about that more at another point. But I'm at my downstairs desk getting ready to do a revision session. So I just thought I'd record while I'm working, maybe talk about a few things that occur to me as I go along and, maybe give you some inspiration or at least insight into my writing process. Now, currently I am on chapter 4. The total manuscript right now is sitting around 51,300 words, so it's not an incredibly long book. I think Passion Restored came in at around 50,000 words, so they're quick reads, but over the course of the 6 books, if they're each about 50,000 words, that's going to be around 300,000 words total if my math isn't wrong. So that's a lot of word count, and I want to make sure that each book is readable, like I said, a quick read. Maybe I'm hoping to make it a breezier read because I tend to be a little long-winded, in case you hadn't noticed. But the goal today is not so much the word count, but I am addressing the comments that I've gotten from my beta readers. As I said, I'm on chapter 4, and I'm thinking that one of the upcoming chapters I'm going to completely rewrite because based on one of JT's suggestions, I need to set up something that will need a little bit more than a sentence or two here or there. So it may just be a complete revision of that chapter. We'll see how that works out. Now, I always have a hard time settling down to work, and right now I have probably about an hour until JT gets home from his outing. I do have a load of laundry going down in the basement. I've puttered around and done a little cleaning this morning, so that also took up some time. But I'm trying to at least keep things, not spotless, but at least up to speed while I'm trying to get this book done. Once this is done, I may take a day or so and give the house or at least parts of the house, a pretty in-depth cleaning because I'm a little behind on that. And we're coming up on spring cleaning, but another issue altogether. So obviously my mind is not yet on the manuscript, but I will be settling down to look at what I'm working on in this chapter. I don't know how much revision needs to be done. I have not looked at all of the beta notes throughout the whole book yet. I'm kind of looking at them as I go, though I did see a couple of the last ones that helped me rework some of the early parts of the book to hopefully make some things clearer. I definitely needed to clarify a few things. So it is currently 5 minutes past 11. I think I will, over here, bring up my timer. We're going to do a 45-minute writing session. So let me see, I don't have that one set up here. So let me, I haven't used my timer for a while, so I have to remember how to do this. Okay, so I've set my timer over here for 45 minutes. So I'm going to move my timer on top of my manuscript so I can kind of keep an eye on what time it is. I'll also hear things like the washer chiming when it's done with the spin cycle, which I'm never sure if it's 30 or 45 minutes, but I'm not going to mess with that until after I get my 45 minutes done here. So we'll see how this goes. If this is a successful experiment, I may do a few of these sessions and just record them and post them as a way of maintaining my daily YouTube streak and remaining accountable to my work in progress, because like I said, I really want to get this done and into the editors very soon so I can move on to book 3, which is already sitting and waiting for some love. So I have my goal in mind. If you are joining me maybe on this writing session, I'm not sure if I'm going to speed up this footage or maybe just post the entire thing, and we can make it a write/edit with me video. So we'll see how that goes, but it is now 11:07 or so, and here we go. So what I'm doing right now is I want to have a bit of information up on the screen because I'm working on something relating to a particular area in Reno that I am including in the book. Book 2 of Restless Spirits takes place in Reno, Virginia City, and Carson City for the most part, but it will be ending up in Southern California. So just to give you a little background on that, what I'm doing over here is I have Google Maps open to show me the exact location of the place that I'm working on. Plus, I also have pulled up the website of the place that I am including in the book so that it is there in case I need to get a little bit more information. So got that pulled up. I wasn't sure where I was in the book yet, or else I would have had that ready to go. So now I will start working on the revisions to this chapter. So far, what I'm working on looks like it needs just a little bit of clarification here and there, so I'm not doing a complete rewrite of this chapter, which is nice. But there are actually one of my beta readers lived across the street from the location that I'm highlighting in this chapter, so that's interesting. Maybe I can incorporate some of what she mentioned about the location into the chapter, which would add a little bit more personal interest because it's realistic to somebody who lived in the area. So this is a nice touch. How's it going over there? It's kind of odd having the camera watching me as I do this, but I'm trying to focus. So this is good practice for me. If you're hearing interesting sounds in the background, that's the water pressure from the washer because with old plumbing, the plumbing was probably installed when the house was moved here 50 something years ago now, so the older plumbing makes a lot of noise, and these are things I have to work around as I'm writing. Okay, I've come to a comment where I need to go back to an earlier chapter to add some more clarification. So I'm getting through. I need to make a note. Let me see here. I need to note which page I'm on so I can come back to this. But I need to go back to an earlier chapter and clear something up. So let's see what would be a good spot for that. And this is one of the challenging parts of revision is, I suppose what I could have done was go through and compile all the beta notes and where I'd gotten them and where I might need to change them, which I should probably do in future projects. But for the moment, this is how I've started, so this is how I'm going to continue. And it will mean a little bit of going back and forth, which may not be the best option. So if you are revising, maybe this is your first time getting beta notes, I would recommend definitely having maybe another separate document with those notes, what chapters they came from and what chapters they might relate to, where you need to make changes in order to make clarifications or corrections. Because I know later on in the book, I'm going to have to work on something with a character that I popped in toward the end without really giving them any mentions in the earlier parts of the book. So it is a complex process getting these revisions done. And like I said, since this is my first time, I just dove in. Not my first time getting beta edits, because JT has done that for me in the past, as well as our editorial service, but this is the first time I've had multiple beta readers from different, multiple beta reads from different people. My brain is kind of focused on the manuscript right now, but I'm trying to figure out my process, I guess, as I'm working through this for the first time. And we'll see how it goes in the future. It should be a little bit more clear-cut, I think, but hopefully this is something, as I work through this, I can provide you some inspiration on how you can best address what you're working on. So back to work. Okay, I did go back and clarify something to get a head start on what I'm mentioning here in the 4th chapter. So I'm going to get back to the page that I was originally working on. And according to my timer, I have just under 16 minutes left to go, or I should say 17 minutes. So we'll see how much more we can get done before the timer runs out. And I should mention that I'm not only revising based on the notes that I'm getting, but as I reread, I'm also making some changes based on how I'm feeling about the flow of the book. I did mention a few days ago, I did a post about, or I mentioned in one of my posts that I was going to try dictation. That turned out to be too complicated for this process, but before I send the document to the editors, I will need to download it to Word. So I'm thinking what I might do at that point is actually read from my Google Doc and have it dictate into Word, and then I can go back and clean that up. That might take too much time, but it may be something I try going forward, because dictating helps with the flow of the sentences, because you will naturally see when they're too long. So I did test dictation a little bit and it worked out pretty well, but it was just too complicated trying to do that while I was trying to wrap my head around the changes I was making in my manuscript. Also, the noise you are now probably hearing in the background is the spin cycle on the washer. So that's getting close to finishing, and it will probably be just in time for the end of my writing session or revision session. So back to work. sounding like it might have started raining outside, which is perfect weather for writing, especially what I'm working on right now. We've got about 9 minutes left on my timer, so I think I'm going to end this here because I can hear that the washer is about ready to shut down and I'll have to go switch things to the dryer. But I hope, I know this is probably not going to be too interesting. What I'll probably do is just upload it as is without spending a lot of time editing because I just don't have the time right now. I need to get this revision done. So thank you for joining me today. If you are working on something, please let me know what you're up to. Like I said, I may do more of these kinds of videos where I just record while I'm working, and if you'd like to pop on and join me for those. I'm not going to do live streams at the moment because that's just too complicated. And I've got enough going on in my brain with the manuscript for that to be too much for me right now. But we'll maybe continue this for at least the next few days. We'll see. I might have something else planned. But in the meantime, I thank you again for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful day and week, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer.